Today I have with me a bottle of Glenfarclas 15 Highland single malt sherried whiskey. This one is one that you've probably seen and you're wondering, is it worth your time and money? So today we're going to taste it, we're going to review it, and let you know if it's one that I think you should check out. Let's go. Thank you guys for joining me once again on another tasting and review video on McIntyre's malts. Today we are going to talk about a whiskey that is very, very well known and for good reason. The whiskey we are looking at today is the Glenfarclas 15-year-old. Here in Australia, it's not too hard to come by. You can typically find this bottle in the realm of about $125, which is a good price for it where it should sit. Often you'll find it about $150, sometimes a little more, but I don't think you should pay those prices. Keep an eye out and aim to buy it for $125. The 15-year-old is bottled at 46% ABV. On the back of the label, it says natural color. It doesn't mention on the label if it's chill filtered. So we're going to assume, given that it's 46%, that it's non-chill filtered, but it may well just be like a barrier filter. What I like to do, if you haven't seen any of my videos on my channel, is go through nosing the whiskey, tasting the whiskey, talk to some of the aromas and flavors that I uncover, and at the end of the video, giving you a recommendation if it's one that I think you should be considering purchasing. Okay, with that said, why don't we now begin with the nose on the Glenfarclas 15. Very, very rich and sweet. Abundance of malt. You can absolutely tell the sherry influence, but it's more of a malt forward sherry than, say, something like a Glenallachie or a Glendronach. Getting light notes of caramel, hints of vanilla. It is a baseline sherry whiskey. And when I say that, what I am trying to express is that there's not a whole heap of different complex aromas that I can't quite get my head around. It's very apparent what you're nosing here. It's malt, sultanas, plums, touch of spice of sherry, caramel notes. Very much what I'm expecting to get. It's really nicely done. It's just. Why don't we now try the Glenfarclas 15 on my palate? Cheers. The best way that I can explain this is honest whiskey. There is a lovely sweetness at the back of my palate, like yellow plums. More of a contrast, not the darker dried fruits, almost bordering on sweeter tropical fruit, stone fruit notes. Loads of malt. It's really nice bite of spice. We're talking like almost virgin oak, kind of that wood spice. Lovely texture, lovely body. It's a good, honest whiskey. A very clear-cut example. Like, you could almost look up whiskey in the dictionary and see a picture of Glenfarclas, right? That's kind of like what I mean when I say earlier a baseline. It's just a great example of single malt whiskey. To consider this, right? If you had to find something that you would say is Glenfarclas's weakness, it's that it doesn't have something that grabs you. I taste this and I'm like, the texture's there, there's flavor, there's a few different things that I can detect. It tastes like whiskey, but there's something missing. And I think that it's just so simple and innocent and straightforward. It's missing the character that other whiskies have that make them unique compared to other whiskeys. If you put this in a blind and a lineup against other whiskeys, you wouldn't say it's a bad whiskey, but it wouldn't be memorable, if that makes sense, right? It's one that's always sort of grated on me a touch in terms of, if it has the specs that I want, if it has good flavor, why don't I like this more than I do? Which is it's a funny thing, and it's only Glenfarclas that gives me that experience. Okay, let's go another nosing now to see if, after a little bit of time in the glass, anything else is going to reveal itself to me. And then we'll do the final sip and finish on my palate and discuss my recommendations. Whilst it's known to be a sherried whiskey, it's got to have some bourbon cask influence here, because it just doesn't have that same oomph, or perhaps it's just tired casks, I'm not sure. Like, those sherry elements are there, but it just doesn't taste like it. Doesn't nose like it either. It has elements, but I feel like you're getting the vanillas. You're getting the sort of grassier farm notes are underlying as well, like the dry hay, the grain notes. So yeah, maybe it has a bourbon influence. I don't know. Please let me know if you do, because I'm here to learn as well. On the palate, final sip and finish, Glenfarclas 15. Again, it's good whiskey. There's no denying that. If you've tried this one, I'm sure you'll likely agree with me. It's good quality whiskey. It just doesn't grab me. And that's such a weird thing, because everything about this whiskey says to me that it should. It's just lacking its own personality, right? It just doesn't stand out to me. Glenfarclas has a timeline when you should introduce it into your whiskey journey to get the most out of this spirit. This is a fantastic whiskey. I will not deny that. But will I replace this bottle? No, I won't, because I've gone beyond that point, and there are so many incredible whiskeys that give me so much more depth and complexity than this one does. I'm going to say that if you are new in whiskey and you typically are experienced with whiskeys like Glenfiddich, Glenlivet, lighter whiskeys, maybe Balvenie, those kind of whiskeys that are presented at 40% ABV, and you want to really step things up and see what is out there without overwhelming yourself or going too deep too quickly, then this is for you. I recommend this for those kind of drinkers, the people that are in that stage on their journey. If you have 10 years of drinking experience and you've tried thousands of whiskeys across all different countries at different strengths, different cask profiles, things that typically us whiskey nerds lean into, and we are the outliers, we're not the majority here, then you probably wouldn't go to this, right? So it's a tough one, because it's not that I don't recommend it. I recommend it for the right time in your whiskey journey. So let me know, what do you guys think? Have I ruffled feathers with this one? Is this something that you would say, no, this is all time for me. I love this whiskey. You know, I've been drinking for 20 years and I still turn to this one. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed today's tasting and review, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you also want some additional whiskey content, head down into the description right now under the video and sign up to the Single Malt Monthly newsletter that I publish once a month with all kinds of great whiskey content for you guys. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So with that said, I want to say thank you guys for being here. And if you would like to check out this other whiskey that I reviewed recently, click on this link and go and enjoy that now.